This is Sportswrap Overtime. It is actually a Sportswrap Overtime special. We do them twice a month. The graphic has already given away. We have a special
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. This week,
Bring 'em up.
on this edition of the Sportswrap Overtime special, Virginia Pilot columnist Larry Rubama. Welcome to the Wavy Plus studio, Larry.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it.
Larry and I are in contact, and I said, hey, you want to come and do a podcast and get from behind your computer and all the words you have to write on a daily basis, and let's just talk sports, man.
I love it.
You said you like the studio?
I love it, man. I like this. This is nice.
Good little setup, right? So
hard.
Yeah. We got a lot to get into. We just kind of want to start with your background, Larry. I mean, where you're from, how you came up. Kind of give us a little bit of how you came up and where you're from.
Okay. Well, I was born in Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
A lot of family up in Syracuse, New York. I got a cousin who's played in the NFL, Dorsey Levens. His mom and my mom are sisters. Then I left New York, moved down to D.C. My mother said I needed to just grow up a little bit. So I went to a public school called Falls Church High School for 2 years. She then said, nah, you need some discipline. So she put me in an all-boys school called Good Counsel High School. Good Counsel is not the very well-known school in that one, but we also competed against Carroll, DeMatha, St. John's, McNamara. Very, very strong. It's one of the best conferences in the country.
Morgan Wooten, you were going against Morgan.
Exactly, Morgan Wooten. So, in fact, Danny Ferry was a senior when I was a senior.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it was a very, very competitive conference in all sports. And my sports were basketball, track, and baseball. When I went to Good Counsel, though, the coach there told me, look, man, you know, if you want to get a scholarship, you need to focus on track. And so I listened to him, and he was correct. I was able to get a scholarship to Ohio University, which at the time was ranked in the top 10 in the country for journalism.
Yeah.
Yep. I have family connections. That's cool.
Nice.
So it was cool going there. And then I was ran track at Good Counsel. In high school, I was all state in track in the 300 hurdles. I also ran relay. I did whatever coach told me to do. Then I went to Ohio University. Was 3-time all conference. Was a captain of my track team, MVP of the track team. You know, I had a good career. Then tried to also get into the journalism side, which was difficult because they actually made me come back an extra year because they said you can't be trying to do track as well as taking these classes we got.
Oh, wow.
For you. And so I did the internship at CNN News. I did that. It was like a 6-week thing. And then I realized I didn't want to go into broadcast.
Yeah.
What you guys do, look, let me take you back. So I went out to do a shoot. At that time, it was a presidential one. And I had to do a stand-up and do an intro.
Yeah.
Man, I think I did it 16 times. I was like, you know what? Let me stick to print.
So was that internship in D.C.?
No, this was up in Ohio.
Oh, in Ohio.
Yeah, we were in West Virginia interviewing. I forgot who it was at the time.
Some political story.
It was a political story. And I'm trying to do my, and people behind me screaming and yelling. I'm thinking, man, this is the worst. And so I said, you know what?
Block them out.
I wish I could use that advice then. But so then I ended up going to a school. I did South Carolina. They had a program called the Southeastern Minority Newspaper Workshop. And I went down there and it got me it was boot camp for writing. Let me go back to, I decided to go into writing. I was in the 8th grade and we had a career day at my church. And a woman by the name of Dorothy Gilliam, one of the first Black writer for the Washington Post, came to my church. And she went around the room and asked people what they wanted to do. And I said, I'm going to be a professional baseball player. So everybody, they skipped me and they went to everybody else, boring things like a lawyer, doctor, So she comes back to me and she says, you know what? I'm not going to kill your dream, but if you can't play the sport, why not write about it? I was in the 8th grade, and that stuck with me from out. So it's really sad for me to hear about the Washington Post.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, I grew up on that. I actually was fortunate enough to not only be written in the Washington Post, but I actually wrote a story for the Washington Post.
Wow.
But
I tell people the Tony Kornheiser, Michael Wilbon, PTI happened a decade before it came on television. It just happened to be in print.
Exactly.
The way they went back and forth with each other in their columns.
Right.
It was that PTI was in print. For 10 years. It just wasn't called PTI. And then on ESPN. Yeah, I mean, how much has the industry changed since you got into it? You're especially in print. I remember back in the day, I could go to a game and just follow the game. Now I'm doing
pictures, I'm doing video, I'm doing Twitter or X, I'm doing, and it's like you can't even. It's hard, and I try to tell people getting into this now. I says you got to be multifaceted. You got to be able to do a whole lot of different things and juggle a lot of things to be able to make it happen, but still have that story done on deadline.
Yeah,
and still capture it where people want to read the story. So it's a lot going on, and I wonder if this would have happened when I got into it, would I still be in this field? I may be like, man, I don't know. This is a lot. But
if you were younger at the time, you would have been so adept at all of this multitasking.
I hope so. I hope so.
Right.
So
yeah. Now look what's happened though too. In that same sort of vein, print guys are doing video and TV, and ESPN kind of evolved that, and you're here doing a podcast. So it's kind of one of those things where everyone changes, but overall, there is a lot more to do. The platforms have changed, the newspaper business as a whole.
How many people were in the pilot sports department when you started? And how many are in there now?
When I came here, 22 sports reporters full time.
Oh my goodness.
Full time.
99, right? We're going to get, you got to hit 99.
Yeah,
okay.
99, 2000. Yeah. 22 full-time writers.
Wow.
And it makes me think now, it makes me kind of upset because I'm like, what are people doing back then? I mean, I'm like, but we were just, just knocking out the stories, and now we have 5 full-time people.
Okay. Wow.
To cover more stuff.
Yeah.
Because we're doing, now we've combined the newspaper. So now we're covering the peninsula. So you're covering CNU, Virginia Wesleyan, William and Mary, Virginia Tech, Norfolk State, Hampton. And we got more than 60 high schools now. ODU, it's crazy. And so when people call and complain, I've gotten to the point when I'm like, look, man, whatever. I'm like,
we only have so many resources, right?
And back then you had people were on a beat. Somebody did Norfolk State. Somebody did Old Dominion. Somebody did the Admiral. Somebody did the Tides. I mean, unbelievably full-time reporters for just one sport.
It's crazy. And we had 3 columnists.
Yeah.
You had Tom Robinson. You had Bob Molinaro. And who would the third one have been?
I had a brain fart.
Yeah, it's all right.
I had an old moment.
But Tom Robinson and Bob Molinaro was Deucebella? Was
he covered the Redskins for us.
Deucebella?
I'm sorry. Well,
of course.
Yeah, they were the Redskins then. So but it's interesting how the business has changed. It's just like, man, and I talk to people who were in the business back then, and they look and say, man, you're doing a lot of work, man. And they pat me on the back, and I appreciate it because it is difficult. You're trying to keep up with everything, and I just realized to a point where you can't do everything.
Oh yeah, it's impossible.
You can't.
I mean, we get emails from people, and we appreciate them watching. I always tell them that, but I think a lot of people don't realize. They're like, oh, this Saturday this is happening. I'm saying, well, Saturday James is shooting this thing, Brian's shooting this. I'm off. I can't ask my guys to work 14-hour days. I need to take a couple days off a week. We can't be at everything. That's just how it works. And you're the same. You're same situation.
Same situation. People come with these great story ideas. And I'm like, I really wish I could do it, but I just can't get to it. I'm sorry. And you just, I say, hey, we keep reading, but thank you.
Yeah.
But with the Washington Post, and if they were to say, well, there's no reason for this because you've got all of these different podcasts and these different things online that you can read. But those people aren't reporters with boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
They are getting their stories are from the reporters that are actually on the ground. It's part of the whole ecosystem. There is no podcast and things like that if it isn't for the reporters that are actually getting the stories. That's what their content is based upon.
Right. Like the Kevin Durant interview yesterday. You see Kevin Durant?
No, I didn't see that.
He had an interview. They finally boots on the ground. But Brian's talking about, they asked him about the All-Star game and all this type of stuff. It's not for that. No one has anything to feed off of.
Right. So, and maybe it'll come back in some form. You would hope.
I think about what the Post did just in terms of covering all the pro teams. We're not even talking about the colleges. American, Georgetown. You just saw those schools as well. Maryland. Mason. George Mason. Yeah. So that's gone now. And high school coverage was good. I mean, what do they do?
The All Met team.
All Met.
That's my goodness.
Scott Van Pelt did a story on it. Did a whole feature on it. Did you watch it?
No, I did not see that.
Oh man, I'm about to send it to you.
Yeah.
SVP did.
Was it one big thing?
Basically, a one big thing on the All Met team. What happens to the All Met team?
Send it to me too. I like to see that.
And also the pros. A lot of people were saying after this all went down that if it weren't for the Washington Post reporting, Dan Snyder would probably still own the Redskins.
Yeah, right.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that investigative reporting. You look at things like Watergate and things like that. Or we're based on journalism. And Monumental Sports laid off a bunch of people today. I mean, who's covering the Wizards? Do they have it? Does anybody cover them?
I don't know.
Is the only coverage of the Wizards coming from the people that work for the Wizards?
I give credit to. I do see Alex Flum doing some stuff at DC News Now or in Philly. He's doing some Wizard stuff. I see him post that occasionally.
But I mean, a daily reporter that has a pulse on the team, and they
know.
I don't think so.
And
definitely not traveling. Definitely not traveling.
No, they said no. I mean, spring training is supposed to be starting now, and nobody's down there covering. And I'm just curious what's going to happen during football season, because I know growing up in DC, football was it.
Yes.
And what are you going to do with no? I mean,
and it's different with, like, when the New York Times got rid of their sports department and went with The Athletic. The difference there being the New York Post is kind of the sports section of New York anyway. Right, you know, the back page of the New York Post. So that's kind of, they didn't really lose as much. There is no alternative in DC.
Right.
No.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's very
I mean,
true.
It's just sad though. When I heard it happen, I was just like, man, no, it can't be, huh? No,
I have not opened up the Washington Post since.
Neither have I.
Now, does The Athletic have any reporters in DC, or did?
Well, they do, but
do.
they have so many that it's just more of a They cover everything. I mean, They don't do local beats.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, they don't have a Knicks reporter.
Right. Interesting.
That's crazy.
Just, I mean,
Yeah. Let's shift to when you got here, Larry, right? You come to Virginia, you have these stops, you get here in 99. I mean, what was your mindset when you got here? What did you know about Southeast Virginia, the Hampton Roads? What did you know about the area?
growing in DC, I knew a little bit about Hampton University.
Right. Okay.
I had no idea what Norfolk State was.
Got it.
I didn't know what Hampton Roads was, because after I left the school in South Carolina, I went to New York, back to Syracuse, and I covered Syracuse University basketball, football for 3 years for a radio station.
What years?
This would have been, I did a story on Dave Syock recently.
Lansdowne.
Yeah, he played. He was a center for.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I did a column about it when he stepped down as athletic director.
He just stepped down a long time, maybe.
And so let me see. I tell the people here. Lawrence Moulton was there. Adrian Archie was there. It was the end of Derek Coleman. Ronnie Cycling. Yeah, I had the. It was great. I did it for 3 years.
Like 80 in the late 80s.
This would have been late 80s, early.
So
90s.
when they went to the championship and lost to
so not that game. I was after that.
Indiana in 87.
Yeah, don't bring that up. Yeah, it was after that. But then after I left Syracuse, my professor from college, who got me into getting out of broadcasting, getting into writing, became a sports editor in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay.
Brought me there, and I was there for 6 years, where I started off covering high schools, and then I quickly moved to covering our minor league team was the Minnesota Twins. So I got to know all those guys who came up through the system, including Michael Kadire, Small World. So that's
you said Fort Wayne?
Fort Wayne.
Double A or triple A?
That was single A.
Oh, single A. Oh, wow.
Yeah, single A. But
did you cover high school in Indiana?
I covered some high school there.
Was that the state tournament where they're all playing for one championship? Or was it
the best in the world?
Or did they still do that then?
Yeah. No, they stopped. I think they stopped it a couple of years after I moved here. But it was so great because you.
So give me a comparison of what it would be like.
Man.
Would it be like Surrey playing Oscar Smith for the state title if it were Hoosier style? If Surrey had someone on some run?
Here's what I'll tell you. So think of Amish kids who don't even drive to school. They take the horse and buggy. Going and playing against teams from Gary, Indiana. And those boys were hanging with the boys.
That's crazy.
It was one of the guys I got to know very well was Brad Miller.
Okay.
He played. I covered
Brad Miller, longtime NBA player. Brad Miller.
I covered him in high school. I covered him in college, and then I covered him in the NBA. So it was cool.
Crazy.
And then he played with the Pacers. So but it was it was the greatest thing in the world to see that, and they did it for all sports except for football.
Wow.
So you got to see who the real people, who the real champions.
One champion.
No complaints whatsoever.
I love it.
That's
insanity. Man, it was
awesome.
Great. It was great. And you're talking about the gyms. The gym, like 12,000 people in a high school gym. Hoosiers is oh man, yeah, I got some great memories of that. So I did cover high school. I covered wrestling. We won't tell nobody, but I covered wrestling for a couple of years. And then slowly they moved me in. I started covering Purdue basketball, Purdue football, Brian Cardinal, Brad Miller, their football team. In fact, I got to do a story on Drew Brees.
Yeah, I was gonna say you probably just got the end of Drew Brees.
So Drew Brees, he had just came on. They had a guy who left. I forgot the guy's name right now. And they said, "Oh man, he's the greatest thing. He's the greatest thing." And nobody was giving Drew Brees no type, but they were just downing him.
Because people were probably thinking, "Well, why would Purdue have this stud?"
This 5'11" kid, from Texas. And so what I did was I got to talk to him. I got to talk to his mother. I got to talk to his grandfather, who's a legend coach down there.
Okay.
And just kind of built that whole story and got a relationship with him and wrote the story. And who would know now?
That's crazy.
I still got the story, but I got to cover him for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Went down to the Alamo Bowl.
97, 98.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's it like covering these guys,
Man.
At a young age, and you write these columns and or these articles and you do all this deep. It's a long form story where it takes maybe a week or two to put it together because you're interviewing so many people, and then you look back and he's a Hall of Famer.
So I kept his story, of course. Michael Kadire, when I applied for the job here, I didn't know Michael Kadire was from here. And I just wrote the story about, here's a kid, and this kid would be there from the beginning of the day and long days in baseball. I wanted to be a baseball player. After going to spring training, I said, no, I couldn't have did it because they were up at 6:30, go all day, come back after playing games and practice and everything else, 6:30. And Michael Dyer is still out there on the diamond taking hit. I'm like, this kid is crazy.
Man, repetition.
So I wrote the story about it, and it's funny. We got together probably a couple months ago, and I gave him the story that I wrote about him, and he was like, "Oh man!" And he remembered me. And it was a funny story with him is he was invited to the voted to the All-Star game.
Yeah,
and so it was it was somewhere in the middle of, I think it was Davenport, Iowa. Yeah. And the team just left him there. He had no way to get to the All-Star game. So I picked him up and said, man, Ryan, what man? So no way. So we built that whole connection. And then when it was time for me to apply for the job here, I sent that story in about Kadire, and I said, "Oh man, that was smart doing that." I was like, "Why was that smart?"
Because he's from
here, Great Bridge. So
you're like, "Oh, that's right. That's why I did it."
Stars aligning right there.
Yeah, man. And so when you cover these guys, and later on, you have that connection with them, man. It's special.
Yeah.
And especially if they remember you. I mean, there's been places I've been with some guys, and I talked to them, and I said, "I don't know if you remember me, Larry." But Cam Chancellor. I was like, "Man, So I saw him as he was a quarterback."
Yeah. Yes. Cameron Chancellor.
So that's special, man. When you get the chance to be able to see these guys again, it's special, man. It's special.
Right. So what were your impressions of the area? I mean, then when you got here, I know you didn't know much. So what
you just missed Ronald Curry.
I missed, but see, I had heard about Ronald Curry because he's big time.
Yeah, he's nationwide.
But I didn't know that Iverson was from here.
Yeah.
Vic was from here. Alonzo Mourning,
Aaron Brooks,
Taylor, all these guys. And so when I got here, I was like, I'll stay here for a couple of years and then I'll move on. I got here and I was like, all this talent here.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm gonna go ahead and stay here for a little while. And then I had 2 young boys at the time. Now they're 29 and 30. But I thought this was just a good area to raise a family.
That's awesome.
And, I thought about covering pro stuff, and I think God had me be able to do what I'm doing here, and I think I enjoy it, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. So 99, and then as time moves on, I mean, let's get right into it, man. I mean, we cover a lot of guys. Some guys get to that next level and they're fun, and then some guys don't. That's how it works. But when you talk about greatest hits of Hampton Roads since you got here in 99, I mean, who are we thinking about? Throw out some names.
I can tell you.
We have a few names already.
I can tell you. I think number 1 is.
Go, you say
number 11.
Percy Hart.
Roll 3.
This is. He was phenomenal. One of the things I never forget about him is I ran track against a guy named Eric Metcalf, who was not only good in track, but he's also really good in football, played in the NFL, and he could do anything. Watching Percy Harvin, man, I watched him on the basketball court. I mean, not very big guy. He was down there banging with everybody.
Yeah.
Get him on the football field, like you see right now.
State championship game here, by the way.
Oh my God.
He made it look so easy.
Yeah.
And then what he could do in track. Now here's a guy, me being a track guy, he didn't practice the long jump, didn't practice the triple jump. He runs the 100, runs the 200. They win the 4x1, and then he goes out there. He wins the long jump and triple jump. That's crazy.
Like, the only person to win 5 state championships.
Him and Mike Morrison.
Morrison did for Great Bridge.
For Great Bridge, he did too. Another phenomenal athlete who was just ridiculous. But to see, he was just. It was crazy. His sister, Lentera, came up to me one time. She said, I was covering her, and she says, "Yeah, I know you think I'm good. Wait till you see my little brother." And, we hear that all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I say, Harvin, I told you. And she told me she was right. And just to see him, oh, man. I just the thing I look at him is I just wish he could have stayed in the NFL. I think things would have worked out better. He could have been there a long time. And he was almost the MVP of the Super Bowl that one year when he ran back everything. Yeah. But he, and I look at Chris Bailey. I still keep in touch with him to this day.
It was a great story there as well.
Yes, he is. Look where he's gone.
Is he with the?
He was with the Raiders as the last, but I don't know.
Chargers?
Was he? No, he's with the Raiders now.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a lot of
Chargers. Yeah, Chargers.
Look at Percy's burst here, by the way. Look at that.
That's
not fair. Come on.
Look at that.
That's a grown man.
And that's a playoff game against Deep Creek. That's not some scrub game.
It was showtime. When he was on the field, people packed the place. I mean, he was unreal. And I see highlights of this, and I saw that Iverson was like this in football as well.
Right.
What happened? Why was he banned from the VHSL? What happened?
But what didn't happen? No, he there was an incident that he had with a school. There was some he basically got into it, talked a little bit too much, did too many things, and the VHS was like, "No, we're shutting you down. You can't do anything else." So just like with Iverson, he didn't even get to participate that senior year
for basketball.
We would have loved to see what he could have done in basketball
because they were a state runner-up his junior year,
and no track. I mean,
they took him out for basketball and track.
Was he just causing trouble with people?
He was having some issues, and I think a lot of people didn't like his swag that he had as well. So it was a lot of different sides that were coming in that, and he did some things that he shouldn't have done off the field, off the court. And I think the hatred started. Hey, man, we can't stand this guy anyways, and. But you see what kind of athlete he is.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean.
That state title game, you'd have to look at the stats. I mean, it was like 400 yards. Man. It was 3 interceptions, 3 touchdowns.
It was ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
Too, Jeff.
I think it was literally like, I mean, I don't know where. It might be one of the best state championship performances of all time. 3 touchdowns. I think he had 3 interceptions.
I think he counted for like 700 yards.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculous.
What do you remember about this guy? Hopefully you covered this guy.
Is that D'Angelo?
That is D Hall, number 2.
D Hall. Oh,
I will say this. I've told this to Craig. The best high school football team that I've ever seen to not win a state title.
Yeah. That year when they went to they lost to Centerville.
Daryl Tapp.
Yeah. Anderson.
James Anderson.
And Clifton, the quarterback. That team was loaded. They
3
had
NFL players.
Oh, my gosh. D'Angelo, again, he was special. Wow. He wasn't as good as a basketball player as Percy was, but here's a guy.
Track he was
good. Well, he wasn't Percy Harvin.
Right.
He wasn't Percy Harvin.
Right.
But he was a great long jumper. He was a good sprinter. He did whatever they needed him to do. And he was a fun. I remember that game. In that game against Bayside.
Yep.
Yeah. In that game though, he got hit by a guy named Rubama. It was either Rubama or Painter. And when he got hit, he got up and he was staggering. And I think had they done a concussion test, he may not have been able to finish that game. But you can see this. Look at all the fans right
crazy.
there. Man, it was
that's what I was going to bring up next. I was just going to, my general question, Larry, was going to be like, how much has high school sports and the dynamics, I don't know if it's the fans, I don't know if it's the kids on the field, how much has it all changed in your eyes in the last 25 years?
The thing that makes me angry the most is I was at a couple of games this year, and the kids, my father always told me, when you do something well, just act like you've done it before. These kids now are celebrating in the end zone and getting the penalties, and the coaches don't care.
Yeah.
Just act like, come on. I mean, that's what bothers me the most is that the parents have gotten involved. These kids believe all the hype. They see the social media.
Sense of entitlement, maybe, as a former high school athlete myself, because I grew up in that.
That's right. You were a former athlete as well.
I got coaches, ripped me in a lot of ways, and they ripped a lot of kids on our team. And we just came up in that era where it was about, discipline. We had our fun, but it was about discipline. The coach was the authoritarian figure. But, I didn't grow up with the way these kids grew up. I do think the internet and the social media and everyone having their own highlight tape has created, and it's not to bash on the kids, just the kind of how the world has evolved. There is a sense of entitlement sometimes when sometimes you haven't done anything to earn it. Right. So.
I saw some kids take penalties in football during the playoffs this year.
Yes.
For celebrating.
That's what
I'm like, what are you doing?
Exactly. And the coach don't do anything. Say, okay, we'll take it. I've heard a coach say, we'll take that. We'll take that. What? No.
I saw a touchdown get called back because of an excessive celebration.
But there are still some coaches out there that run a tight ship.
Yes.
You're not seeing that at Phoebus with Jeremy Blunt.
No.
For example.
You're not going to see that at Moore either.
Right.
I mean, he's going to get on the kid. He might do a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's going to rein that kid back in. I mean, that's one thing. I'll never forget. I went to a practice. Was it 2 years ago when they had about 4 or 5 guys that were big, like major Division I players, and he went off on them. They won the game by like 5 touchdowns, and he was ripping them. And I looked at one of the star players. I was like, man, he don't play. He said, nah, Coach McCain don't play. No, he don't play. But that's the kind of respect you gotta earn from these kids now. And now the kids, it's like a wild west out there.
Attendance at some of the sporting events is what we talk about in the office sometimes. Like it just feels like, the big games still get a lot of numbers and people show up, but like it feels like there's really not the excitement from the fan bases anymore the way it used to be.
I agree. You go to some games before back in the day that it would be packed out there. Now it's kind of like, it's like crickets at some of these games, especially on Friday night football. Some of these games you're not seeing people there. And then I'm surprised some of these teams who are ranked really high, they go on the road and there's nobody in the stands. I'm like, what's going on? But back in the day, it was, you couldn't get into some of these places.
I think some of the craziest environments that I've ever seen covering local sports here was the Eastern Region semifinals. Not even the finals. The Eastern Region semifinals at Churchland High School. How cool was that? How amazing was that?
It was.
Especially when it was AAA. You had 3 state champions in basketball.
Right.
3.
Well, the thing about it was, if you remember then, only 2 teams got out of the region.
Unbelievable.
That was it. Only 2 teams. I was just telling somebody, I'm going to piggyback on that in a second. So when you have the district champion, the regular season champ, and then whoever won the tournament would get into the playoffs. You go to Churchland. If you don't get to Churchland early enough, you get locked out. And I actually did a story on getting locked out on purpose because I wanted to let people realize this is crazy how we had
getting locked out physically out of the
Scott,
door.
Scott Cash was the sports director at WVEC Channel 13. He went to cover the Eastern Region semifinals. Fire marshal code was out. They wouldn't let him in.
I've never heard that.
He went on the news and said, hey, here's the scoreboard. Here's who won the game. I don't have highlights. They wouldn't let me in.
Oh my, I've never heard that. I never heard that story.
So the year that I decided to do it, I said, we got to make this happen. So I went ahead and got locked out. And I talked to parents who had traveled all the way from Suffolk to get to the game, who couldn't even go in and see his son. I talked to a lot of different people. I mean, it was a line. I mean, it was at least more than 100 people outside trying to get in.
Yeah.
And so when I wrote the story the next year, then Paul Frame, the mayor of Norfolk, said, we got to stop this. And then they opened it up at scope. But my fear was, now we got it at scope. Oh my God, what if people don't show up?
That first year.
Sold out. Sold out.
One of the main reasons it was sold out too was because of believe it or not, a girls' game between Princess Anne and Lake Taylor in the semifinals, meaning these were the 2 best teams by far in the area. One of them didn't even make the state playoffs.
Wow.
And also it was against Trey Freeman and Kellum.
I've heard that one before.
But that kind of just, I mean, that was good. It was interesting. I did a story recently on Salem state championship team that got together about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
The John Gilchrist?
Yeah.
And
talking to Cochran, talking to the players, they all said, man, look, man, it's so watered down. How can you have 2 teams in the same city be state champions? I was like, and they even talked about it, how when you got out of this region, man, it was an honor.
Yeah.
And if you lost the state championship, okay, but it was an honor to say, hey, we battled through there.
And let's get out of this region. All right, now we're out of the region. Now let's play one of those Richmond guys or whatever. But now we're even in the region, you've got teams from Richmond and Fredericksburg or something that are in the same region. So you're not getting out of the region anymore.
No, it's totally different.
And in football, you have teams, they've expanded those so much now. They need to take away one of the rounds, in my opinion.
I agree. I think it should be top 4.
Because we're having one, and I think there might have been a winless team make the playoffs one year.
Basketball, the region tournament. You have one team that was 0-17, another team that's 1-18 that are in the playoffs.
What's the point of that?
What?
What's the point?
What's the point? That's just going to embarrass the kids.
I always say it. My stance on that is if I'm the coach of that team and they say you make the playoffs, I gather my team in the locker room and I say, men, we're not playing this game. We're going to forfeit the game. We didn't earn it.
We
We don't deserve this playoff spot. We didn't win a game.
Yeah.
Then the parents will come after you.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That's
a whole nother topic.
The parents will come after my son. I'm like,
it's crazy to me because I feel like Jeff and I are the same age. I feel like my generation, whatever.
Our generation.
And different. It is different, right? But like I do feel like I was a part of that last group of kids that was like, it was pre-internet and everything was social media and parents didn't complain about every single thing. Like you had to face some adversity. And again, it's not to bash on any kids or anything like that. It's just the world changes, things change, things evolve, but sometimes not for the better.
No.
And there are still great programs and great parents in tons of places. I'd say more than half of people are great and the kids are great, but we are just living in a different world. So for someone like you that has the history, I was just curious how it has, how it's changed. So
it's just changed so much now. I mean, parents knew their place.
Yeah. It's a good way to say it. That's a straight up way to say it.
And players knew their place.
Right.
And there was no, I mean, man, it's bad when you see kids who have been to 3 high schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not 3 colleges, 3 high schools.
Yeah.
Right.
I know of a couple kids who've been to 4 high schools.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sums it up.
That did happen where I grew up. That would happen occasionally. We had so many private schools where
private
I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's been happening here forever.
Yeah.
There was a rule they had to sit out a year if they transferred public to privates.
Right.
But a lot of kids went private to public, and bounce back and forth.
If you grew up with an area of the more private schools, I kind of get that a little bit more. But like, I didn't grow up in an area with private schools. I was a public school kid through and through. So for people to transfer, it's like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Going where? Do what? It's just
your senior year. What?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
What do you mean you're going to Florida and IMG?
Yeah, then there's that dynamic.
Oh, God.
Well, we talk about the fan support and things like that. It is, you can kind of look at, like, the Chesapeake schools tend to have a little more spirit and kind of like just a better atmosphere than, like, we never been able to figure out, why doesn't Lake Taylor draw for football at all? As good as they are, they've been dominant. And
year in and year
you can
out.
hear people having conversations in the crowd. There's probably 75 people there. I don't understand
that one is baffling to me.
There's tons of parking. It's easy to get to.
Even during the playoffs this year.
I don't.
And they're state champions.
I don't get it.
Yeah, some of it, I guess it's not for us to figure out, but no, I don't understand that. I don't understand that. But they'll be the first ones to say if they don't win, oh my God, see, you get fire Hank, and it's like.
But like Maury, for their football, they draw very well.
Yeah,
man. But we did Maury Granby 2 years ago when Granby had 9 wins going into that regular season finale. Maury Granby was one of the best atmospheres I did all year. I think it was 2 seasons ago, and it was unbelievable at Powhatan. Just so, oh my God, it was great.
Who's the best high school football team that you could remember? Or just name a few that kind of stand out as like the cream de la cream.
Well, you mentioned that D Creek team that lost the state championship. That team was phenomenal. Like you said, I mean, that team had, I want to say, at least 15 Division I athletes on the team.
Wow.
Another team, I'm a little bit biased, Bayside's team that beat Oscar Smith that one year. My son was a sophomore on that team. That team had,
was it EJ or
no?
Or
After EJ.
Smoke Mizell?
Smoke Mizell.
Okay,
yeah. It was Smoke Mizell. I mean, that team had about 8 or 9 Division I players. They had at least 15 kids that went on to play in college. And you get the Oscar Smith teams. Oh my God, they've had some phenomenal ones. And then of course with Coach McCain, what DeRee's doing over there. I mean, he's had some great teams. But yeah, Oscar Smith. They had some.
Yeah, from the Greg Boone years to the Philip Sims years. I mean, Richard Morgan ran a tight ship.
And and I think people don't realize what he did. When he came here, and he's also small, interesting story. He's from New York as well. My best friend from New York lived across the hall from him in college because my friend played basketball at Canisius. Richard Morgan played football at Canisius.
Oh, wow, okay.
So when he comes here, and I'm thinking, who's this guy? Real cocky. I said, man, I know you think you're gonna come out here and dominate, right? But you got Deep Creek and Western Branch. He says, nah, they gotta worry about Oscar Smith. And I was like, what? But he lost that first year.
Yeah.
After that, nothing but. And he was the one that started teams from our area playing teams nationally.
Okay.
He wasn't afraid. He didn't care. When they played Booker T. Washington High School from Florida, that team was crazy loaded. Then he went to Ohio and played a team up in the Horseshoe.
Okay.
I mean, he was just phenomenal. He didn't care. He had that cockiness where he's like, "Hey, come on, bring it. We're ready."
And those games a lot of these games were on ESPN, national television games.
Well, the game we had,
Lake Taylor game.
That's what I'm saying. Oscar Smith, Lake Taylor. That game was, it was like, oh man.
Yeah.
So I mean, he started that thing, and other coaches have tried to do it, but that was a special time. It was, oh my gosh, some games that were incredible.
Yeah. I want to get into kind of your work itself, Larry, like crafting a story, right? Like kind of, I mean, you are an old school journalist. I don't even call you old school because you're a journalist. Crafting a good story, man. Can you talk about your process a little bit? What you look for, how you decipher what stories to go after, sources, interview subjects, all that type of stuff.
The main thing is, I think, getting to know the people in the community. I get a lot of stories that people would say, "Hey, why don't you do this story?" One story I wrote down right here was I did a story on Ronnie Valentine, ODU guy who went into the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
I mean, had his jersey hung, a buddy of mine who knew a buddy of mine said, "Hey, man, we're gonna do this get together at it was a restaurant not too far from there." And he told me a little bit. I knew a little bit about Ronnie Valentine because of a guy, Harry Minium, who used to cover him as well. Mm-hmm. But you talk to other people. Whenever I'm doing a feature story on somebody, I don't want to just talk to the player. I don't want to just talk to the coach. I want to talk to the parents. You find other story angles from there and things that you didn't even think about make the story just pop. So with that one with Ronnie Valentine, I talked to some guys he played with, not only from ODU, but also players that he played with in his neighborhood, who they said, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. The group that he hung out with in Norfolk, I mean, you're talking about probably like 15 to 20 guys that went on and played Division I. About 8 or 9 of those guys were all Tidewater players, and they talked about just what he went through. The other thing I love to do is, and it's hard to say this, but when people have gone through something, loss of a family member, drugs or alcohol, losing it all. Those are stories that, to me, are the ones I would like to write the most because it gives you a chance to be able to talk about this person. I had a story I did on Purnell Sturdivant. He played at Lake Taylor and then played at, was a star at Virginia Tech. He waited to a senior year until he finally got to play. And when he finally got to play, he showed out. They won the ACC that year, and they went and won at the Orange Bowl. He goes to 2 tryouts. His last tryout, he's all set. They're saying, "Hey man, this is for your name to be said on draft day." He finds out, he cuts his finger, and he said, "I don't know what's going on. It won't stop." So he put a Band-Aid on it. Woke up the next morning, the Band-Aid was just flooded with blood. He said, "What's going on?" Goes to a doctor and finds out he has his rare blood disease. His career is over with.
Wow.
He went through, I talked to him and he talked about the depression he went through. He wanted to stay away from sports altogether because he didn't want to be at a Lake Taylor game and see, well, what happened? What happened? But fortunately, he had a wife who was praying for him and telling him, hey, things are going to get better, man. Things are going to get better. He didn't believe it. They have their own business where they do, they deal with finances. And it's just, those are the stories that I think people want to hear about.
Yes.
My greatest readers are those women and men who are over 70 years old who say, man, I don't read a sports page, but because of the stories you write, I read it.
Right.
And
yeah, like the non-sports fan, right?
Yeah, That's what I mean. Every sports people going to read the story, but I want to get the people who aren't going to read it, you know? And when I write those stories like that, people will write me saying, hey, man, I like the way you did it compassionate. And, probably my favorite, I should say, the stories that I really felt like I hit was when my mom passed away. Yep. And then I had to write a story. It was the first year with no mother on Mother's Day. And I wrote that story. And I had so many people, people literally call me crying on the phone. That story but it was from the heart. And that's what I try to do. I try to write from the heart. Being a former athlete, you being a former athlete, a lot of people who get into this business aren't athletes.
Right.
But we have that connection, being a former athlete. And then you just you compel on people's feelings about a story. And that's what I try to do. Whenever I try to do a story, how can I make somebody outside of sports read the story, but how can somebody also learn from this story?
Yeah, your features are definitely my favorite part of your writing. I always want to read the Larry features. I wish there were more, actually, but I know there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I got to cover. No, I'm just joking. If I could just do those stories, I would love it, man. I would love it, but
yeah. When do you balance? How do you balance, like, as a columnist, you get to write your opinion pieces sometimes. How do you pick and choose your battles? Like, the one that stood out a couple years ago was when you talked about, we have too many classes and divisions now. It's just too much. And it'd be better if we kind of get back to the way it was. Like, how do you pick and choose your battles of when to kind of throw your opinion pieces in there?
Just like you said, I try to, okay, can I get it in this week? How many feature stories I got to do this week? How many games I got to cover this week? Can I get that story in? Because I want to spend time with it. I don't want to just rush it out there. And so my goal is to hopefully try to do at least 3 or 4 columns a month.
Okay.
I'll actually have a column in Friday and Saturday's paper. I'll have another one in Sundays. The one on Saturday is going to deal with Virginia Wesleyan starting flag football.
Yeah.
So I went out there and kind of talked to the players and just kind of really get what it's like to start a football team. And then on Sunday, I'm doing one on the AD at Booker T, Aronde Andrews. He was a AD at historically black high school at Norcom. Now he's at Booker T. On top of that, his mom owns the local black newspaper. Okay. And just kind of talk about history. I'm always trying to find something that's going to make people want to read, something that's, yeah.
What school's getting flag football?
Virginia Wesleyan.
Who? Virginia Wesleyan.
Yeah.
I don't know if this Virginia Wesleyan of which you speak. Yeah. You must be referring to Baton University.
Which got me yet another one. That one, I wrote that column about that one. I got a lot of people. A lot of people that commented on that one.
That struck a nerve, didn't it?
It did. But I was like, hey, look, because I'm like, if I call it. Yeah.
It struck a chord.
Yeah.
It struck a chord.
And it was crazy. Valvano's brother is
Bob Valvano went to Virginia Wesleyan.
He called me afterwards, like, man, and we talked for a long time, and got to talk to him and his feelings. And these are people who are passionate about what that means.
Yeah.
Yep. And now they're going to change it. But and so I put a little bit of my feelings in it, but I also said, hey, let the speakers go ahead and speak about it.
As someone whose school went through the same thing, I understand.
Yeah. What did you say, Craig?
What did I say yesterday?
About
days ago?
You're like,
hey, man.
Money talks.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Is it right? That's not for us to decide, but money talks. Because I brought up the point. I was like, yeah, put a building in. Brian's like, well, they already got like multiple buildings.
Exactly.
I said, okay. I didn't
This
know.
is the next step. It's the final form.
Hey, man, I went to the University of Oregon. Every single building on campus is named after Philip Knight, Penny Knight, their son, Matthew Knight, their uncle, their brother, Knight Law School. The dog's got a building. So, like, it's college, man. It is what it is. And it is. But there's that emotional connection you can't deny.
And writing that story, it was like, I know how I felt.
Yeah.
And then I got the people who felt like I felt talk about it, including one of their greatest basketball players, Brandon Adair, who's in the NBA.
Yep.
And he was
Virginia Sports Hall of Famer.
He doesn't like to talk often.
Yeah.
And when he said, no, I'll talk, Larry, and then he got me some other people, and just to hear their passion, I said, I feel them. I feel it. It's like,
July.
Yeah,
it's like one of those things when they announce it, like, oh, that'll be 5 years down. No,
it's coming right now.
This year.
So you think about uniforms, everything. I mean, things that have to be changed now.
Yeah, logistical operation.
That kind of.
Yeah.
Do they have enough money to pay for all that?
Baton Marlins.
And who's gonna take it? Who's gonna take it serious?
Yeah.
It's gonna take It's gonna be like 10 years, but say, oh yeah, Baton. Because right now people are like, Baton, who's that?
Yeah,
Virginia Wesleyans. That's what we're gonna be saying. Oh, yeah, you mean Virginia Wesleyan? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I do not refer to my school as Penn West Edinburgh. I still call it Edinburgh University.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know how
I know exactly how this goes.
Can you imagine being an athlete, getting put into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
You were a Virginia Wesleyan athlete. Now you're going to change it.
Yeah.
And some athletes, some of that might be enough future story might do too. Some of the athletes like, you know what, just take me out of the Hall of Fame altogether.
Wow.
That's a serious thing.
That's something that
I don't know about me. I think I'd keep my name in it for the Hall of Fame. But I mean, that's how passionate and how
great sports. Great softball.
Baseball's doing well.
Women's soccer.
Basketball.
Basketball.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I was trying to get quotes from people who were, of course, they weren't going to talk, but I was trying to get quotes from people who are actually at the school now, including the athletes, and nobody wanted to talk. And I can understand. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to touch it. So,
we got 7 minutes here.
You said what?
Yeah, I know.
I told you it goes fast, man.
Let's talk about high school basketball, boys basketball. You're on the south side.
And girls, we picked Princess Anne.
Right, obviously. Just looking forward to the playoffs here that start next Monday. We're recording this on a Thursday, February 17th, something like that.
19th.
February 19th, excuse me. What are you looking forward to in the playoffs? Teams that stand out to you? Who can make a run here?
Yeah, the one team, you can't count out Lansdowne with Dane Robinson. I mean, I can't believe he's only a sophomore, but he takes control of the game. But with them, they also got another guard that's really, really good. I think they've been our number one team from start to finish. They're really, really good. But the key for them is they got to have their big man can't get in foul trouble. If he gets in foul trouble, they're going to be done. So, but Dwight Robinson, the coach there, is phenomenal. He's been doing it over and over and over again. But a team that I really, really like a lot is Hampton. I think we were talking. They got an inside game. They got an outside game. Their coach has been there, done it. They won it before. They got like 5 guys that can score double figures. So you shut him down, okay, well he'll get it. And they got 2 big boys.
The 2 bigs are they're so big, impressive.
And their guards are so athletic. So I really like them. And then a couple other teams. I mean, I look at Kings Fork is on a roll right now.
Okay.
I like Northview. They got the 2 cousins, the Mitchell cousins.
It's a good story. We did a story on that earlier this year.
Those 2 very, very good players. Lake Taylor, we'll see. I know they've struggled coming into the season. Coming into the postseason. We'll see what they're made of as they get ready for postseason. And then you can't count out Oscar Smith, and you can't count out Nansemond River. Nansemond River made a good run last time. And with Denby, I feel bad for them because they're right in the same thing as Hampton, so I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. And you can't count on Woodside. They've won, I think, the last 2 or 3 region titles. Yeah. Anything can happen. You never know. But I'm an exciting time. That's on the guys' side. On the women's side, I mean, PA could actually. I know they could beat a couple of the guy teams, right? I know it.
And think Hampton and Manor probably.
Yeah.
And other divisions. Your thoughts on? This didn't happen when I started covering sports. The top tier guys going to the academies after their sophomore year. We're seeing more and more of that. What are your thoughts on that?
I look at a kid like a kid, Fat Man, Katron Allen, who left Northview, led the area in rushing as a freshman in our area, and then went down there, went to Penn State. Now he's
IMG then Penn State.
I'm sorry, yeah. And he's a kid now. He's gonna be drafted. Yeah. So when you look at that, and then you look at Dalen Everett, who played a couple seasons at Northview and then went down to IMG. He's at Georgia now. I mean, if you have a kid who's that talented, why not? Yeah. If we've got about 3 or 4 kids. There's a lineman who's down there from
what are the odds that Lord Malikiru plays all of his years at Indian River quarterback who's going to be a sophomore? He's incredible.
No, he's unreal. I haven't seen a player like that at that young of age since Philip Sims.
That 97-yard drive,
man,
against Green Run.
His composure is a freshman. And then you talk to him. You talk to him after the game, and then he's like, I'm like, how old are you again? And
I swear he grew during the season.
Man, he won't. There's no way. There's no way.
I went to the Highland Springs game, and they had him under duress. That wasn't his fault in the sense that he was under duress. They got after him. They had a perfect pass rush, and he was under duress. So it's good for him to face that adversity. Because the rest of the season was kind of easy for him.
A year. He's a year ahead of schedule.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe 2 years ahead. I mean,
man,
the way
he was so good.
So, but so in terms of kids leaving, I mean, you got to do what's best for your kid. If your kid is that talented, but these parents who think their kids are that good, that's the ones that I have problems with.
Well, maybe a story is the other side of this.
Yeah.
You know, the kids that did it and like, wow, why did I do that?
Exactly.
This was a mistake.
Exactly.
I'm not playing like I thought I would.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the looks at the next level. I probably should have stayed at whatever school in Virginia Beach, and I would have had a better time, and I would have played, and it would have been better for me.
Yeah. You see the same thing in colleges. These kids will go to these certain schools. They're all hyped up. They put everything on social media about what they're going to do, and then they go to the school, and then next, 2 years later they're at one school, then another year after that they're at another school, and then you're like, wow, what happened?
Yeah, what happens to the kids that enter the portal that are stuck in the portal?
I mean, we talked to Bobby Weiler about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think from what I know, it's just you hope these kids have some guidance and some people to speak honestly to them, like the Jeremy Blunts of the world, who can have those real, honest conversations, as opposed to, it's cliche, but having a bunch of yes men around you that saying you're the best, you're going to go to IMG and you're going to dominate, you're going to become a 5-star.
And the people that have ulterior motives in the long run.
Without a doubt.
You hope the kids have guidance.
And then you have these fake schools, like what was it, Bishop Sycamore? Like that's and it's easy to scam these.
Yeah, and kids that's a story right there. Kids getting scammed out of who knows what, or people selling them a pipe dream. It's been happening for years. It's probably just more. I don't know if it feels more prevalent because of the internet now or whatever. But now guidance, I think, is the key thing with parents. Speaking honestly to your kids, having a realistic approach. Don't be delusional, and having a real conversation with the kids, and you hopefully get them on the right track, and also open their mind up to everything. Right. That's why I'm not a big kid specializing in sports. And
let them and let the kids know. Guess what? There's always somebody better than you.
Always.
When you go to college, as you know, when you play sports in college, everybody was a star where they were. When you go to college, everybody's a star.
Don't get me started, Larry. Man, I don't know if I told this story, and I said it on the podcast real quick. I won't get to say, we have 1 minute left. My wake up call that I was like, I'm probably not as good as I thought I was, because I didn't have a big head, but I was like, I'm a good player. I get to Oregon, and we ran like a mid zone, and I'm playing with LaMichael James, who became a star in college, one of the best college football running backs. And I heard LaMichael James's feet patter and cut back and hit the ground, and it sounded like, and I was like, oh, my feet don't sound like that. Like I literally remember the day I heard that, and I heard it, and I was like, I've never heard my feet make that explosiveness sound on the ground. I was like, yeah, I'm not as good as him. And that was the day I was like, okay, I'm not as good as I thought. And it was that moment. So, everyone has to go through that. So in some ways.
It's very humbling. Very humbling.
Well, Larry, we appreciate your time, man.
Thank you, guys. You said it was going to be fast.
You know what that means? It means you got to come back.
Hey, anytime. Yeah, it sounds like a plan.
We love your work.
Let me know.
We love your work, man. You're a historian here in Hampton Roads. So thanks for everything you do. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Larry Rubama, sports columnist at the Virginia Pilot, and look for all his work at the Pilot there. And we'll look forward to it, Larry. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
This is Sportswrap Overtime. We'll see you next week.